Hey guys, Lady Lee here from ladyleeshome.com, and in this video I am going to show you how I make my fig jam. Honestly, it is my favorite jam of all. It's not something that I grew up eating or anything like that. I actually was introduced to fig jam when I met my ex-husband by his mother. She had a few fig trees in her yard and she used to make a whole lot of fig jam, and I tried it, in my 20s and just fell in love, and it became my favorite jam. I don't have a fig tree. I live in central North Carolina. I don't know many people who have fig trees over here. I know we can grow fig trees over here, and I've actually tried twice. I could not keep them alive through the winter. I think that I probably know a little better now, after I've had a few years of experience with gardening, and I might try again this fall or maybe in the spring. But a fig tree is definitely something that I would like to have. So this might sound funny, but I actually schedule my trips to Israel according to when the figs are producing, and that's a true story. If you click on the link below and go to this recipe on my blog, if you want to print it or if you want to look at this step-by-step picture tutorial, you'll see that I actually made the jam that I'm sharing over on the blog at my mother's kitchen and not here, not in my own kitchen, because I was in Israel when I photographed it and put it on the blog. There are so many fig trees over in Israel, and figs just love the climate over there, and they grow all over the place. They're easy to find. Here in the US, at least where I am in North Carolina, I cannot find figs at the store. Definitely not at the couple of grocery stores that we have here in the small town where I go do my shopping. If I go to the big city, I don't know, maybe I would be able to find figs, but I haven't shopped in a big city grocery store for a while, so I don't know. I was so surprised the other day that I found figs at our local tiny farmers market. This lady had 10 boxes of them, little containers with figs, and I grabbed all 10. We actually ended up bartering. So I gave her some of my breads that I sell at the farmer's market, and she gave me her figs. And I am so excited because I wasn't able to visit Israel this past fig season. So I don't have any more fig jam. And here I am, this is my chance to make it, and I'm taking you with me. So here's what I already did. I cut the figs, and I will just show you how I do it. I just remove the top like this, and then I quarter it. Just like that. And I add it to a bowl, a mixing bowl. It does not matter how many figs you have. If you have your own tree and you don't buy things in perfectly organized and weighted containers at the grocery store, that's fine. I will show you how to make jam, and you can make this. You can do this same process with every fruit, really, any fruit, and you don't have to follow a specific recipe. Again, if you do want to follow a specific recipe with weights and everything, you can find it on the blog. But it doesn't matter how much fruit you have. Once you have it all cut like this in a bowl, then all you gotta do is turn on your scale and weigh it. I have about 3 pounds and 12 ounces over here. Okay, so now that I know, and don't worry about the weight of the bowl, the weight of the bowl. It does not really matter. It's probably weighed a couple of ounces, and I just ignore it. It doesn't really matter. So now that I know that I have almost 4 pounds here, about 3 pounds and 11 or 12 ounces, I just know that I'm going to add half of that in sugar. And again, you do not have to get your calculator. It does not matter to the, you know, it does not matter exactly to the number on how much sugar you add. I'm just going to add, I'll do a little bit under 2 pounds here, okay? So about half of what I have. I'm adding the fruit to a pot, and if I don't make a huge batch, I just add it to this shallow pot. I like it better for jams. And then I'm gonna take my scale again, put the bowl on, zero it, and get my sugar, and just add enough sugar, just about maybe 1 pound and 10 ounces or so. That will do. All right, just about there. Again, about half of the weight of the fruit. And again, this is how I do all of my jams. Usually traditional jams are made with a 1-to-1 ratio between fruit and sugar, but I cut my sugar in half. It means that I'm not able to use store-bought pectin, or that I'm not able to use the regular store-bought pectin, because you have to have a 1-to-1 ratio to use it. I know that there is an option for a low sugar pectin at the store, but it's really not necessary, and all I need to thicken this jam is 1 lemon, and I'll show you how I do that with a lemon. So I add my sugar right to the pot, and now I'm gonna cook it. I'm gonna put it on the stovetop and cook the jam. And here are the stages. First of all, I'm gonna bring it to a boil. So I'm gonna set my heat to about medium high, and I'm going to bring it to a boil. I'm gonna let it boil for about 7 minutes. And then I'm gonna lower my heat, and I'm gonna keep cooking it. Cooking times are gonna change depending on how much fruit you're processing and the water content in your fruit, okay? I started here with very ripe, almost falling apart figs, and I don't think they have too much, you know, water in them, but we'll see, or juice in them, but we'll see as we cook it. Then I'm waiting for the fruit to soften. I'm gonna mush it a little bit and keep cooking it until I reach that gel phase, which I'll show you how to check for. That phase when the jam becomes thick as jam. So I'm gonna put that on the stovetop, and I will move the camera so you can see the process. So the fruit has been cooking for about 5 or 6 minutes. I'll give it another minute or two. Somewhere between, 5 and 7 minutes is good. I want it to be boiling in a way that when I stir it, it does not stop boiling. And the fruit is already soft, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lower the heat to medium, and I'm going to cook it maybe another 10 minutes or so before I'll mush the fruit. And you can see that it's the juice is very runny. I want it to kind of cook down a little bit. So let's lower the heat to medium, even a little, like I have 1 to 10 over here, so I'm turning it to 5, just a little bit under medium. And I'm going to keep stirring. I don't have to stir all the time constantly, but every few minutes I want to come here and stir the jam to make sure that everything is kind of cooking evenly. It's been about 10 minutes and we're definitely at a point where we can mash this fruit a little bit. So I have to confess that usually I use an immersion blender because usually I like my jams pretty smooth. But figs are just so amazing and good that when it comes to fig jam, I actually kind of like having big chunks of fruit in my jam. The nice thing about making your own is that you can do whatever you want. So if you like big chunks of fruit, leave big chunks of fruit, and if you like it a little smoother, then you can just go a little longer with the potato musher that I'm using here, or you can even use an immersion blender to bring it all to a smoother consistency. Whatever you want, it's up to you. I am going to keep working on this, make sure that it is the consistency that I want, and I'm going to cook it maybe another 10 minutes. You can see that it's already cooked down considerably. Fig jam is a pretty quick jam. It's not like strawberry jam or whatever that you have to kind of cook longer. So I'm going to cook it a little bit more after I puree all this, and then we will add the lemon to thicken it. You can see how this is thickening pretty good. Figs have a lot of natural pectin in them already, I think. Never really checked it, but I assume that that's the case since this jam is a pretty quick jam. What I'm gonna do now is I cut in half that lemon that I showed you before, and I'm adding half a lemon juice, just squeezing half of it, and in addition I'm also going to add the seeds. So I added a couple before, somewhere between 4 to 6 lemon seeds. Lemon seeds have a lot of natural pectin in them, in the peel, and they will help us to bring this fruit and sugar mixture into a consistency of a jam and actually making it into a jam. I'm going to keep cooking. If you feel that things are happening a little bit too fast here, you go ahead and lower the heat. And in just a few minutes, I'm just going to give it another couple of minutes, and then we can make the test, and I'll show you how I make the test to see if we are at that gel phase. And you can see that it's already pretty thick. Now take into consideration that jam always thickens as it cools. So if you stand here and waiting for it to be perfect consistency, it probably won't be, because as long as it's hot, it won't be as thick as it is really. You have to kind of let it cool. So here's what I've done. I scooped some of the jam into a spoon and I put it on a plate and I put it in the fridge for just a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, to help it cool quickly. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna let it kind of fall off of the spoon, and as it falls back into the pot, I can see how thick the jam is. And this is perfect. I don't want it any more than that, because I know that even this little bit that was on the spoon was not completely cold. And once I can this and I let it cool completely, it will even thicken more than that. So this is just the consistency that I wanted right now. So the jam is ready. I left it on the stovetop behind me on the lowest heat possible just to keep it hot. While I sanitize my jars, I put my big water bath canner. I filled it with water and I put my half-pint jars over there. Made sure there's about an inch of water covering the jars. And I'm gonna bring this to a boil, and then I'm gonna let it boil for about 5 minutes to sanitize the jars before I am ready to can this jam. If you don't want to can it, that's fine. You can put it in a jar and put it in the fridge. It will last for a long time in the fridge. I always can my jam, so I'm gonna take you with me and show you how I do that. In another pot, I put the lids and bends of the jars. Always use a new lid to make sure the seal is in good condition, but you can definitely reuse the bends. So I filled this with water, and I'm gonna put this on a stovetop, bring this water to a boil, and let it boil for about 5 minutes. Once the lids are ready and the jam is ready and hot, and the jars in the canner are ready and sanitized, I'll be ready to put this all together and can the jam. I got my funnel, my bubble remover, my magnetic lid lifter, and my jar lifter, all the canning equipment over here, and a big spoon to scoop the jam into the jars. I also need a damp paper towel. So I'm gonna go get this, wait for the jars to sanitize, and then we'll put it all together. Canning this jam is pretty easy. I'm just grabbing one of the jars, putting it on my board. I kind of brought everything together close to me so I don't have to go far away to get to anything. I'm going to scoop the jam into the jar. I'm going to leave about half an inch of head space. A little bit more. This smells so good, you guys. I just want to eat everything right now. Alright, so I filled it, left about half an inch to 1/4 of an inch of headspace. I'm going to run my bubble remover around to make sure there are no air bubbles. And then I'm taking my damp paper towel, running it on the rim. I don't want to touch the rim with my fingers, just the paper towel. And then I'm grabbing my jar lifters, lid lifters, and taking one from the pot. I put the pot with the hot water and the lids right over there. Centering it on the jar, grabbing a bend and closing the jar finger tight. That's it. This jar is ready for processing. I'm going to fill the rest of my jars and put them right here on the rack. And when all of them are filled and ready for processing, I'm going to lower the rack back into the water bath canner. I'm going to cover the canner, turn the heat to high, bring the water back to a boil, and I'm going to process this jam for 15 minutes for both pint and half pints. This is for anyone who lives in an altitude of 1,000 feet and below. If you live high in the mountains, you have to adjust your processing time, and if you go to the blog, you will find the adjustment table over there. So this is what I'm going to do right now. Fill everything, put it back in the canner, and process it. That's it, you guys. I am going to process this jam for 15 minutes. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 half pints. So from that 3 pounds, 12 ounces of fruit that I had, I got 7 half pints, which is much better than no fig jam at all at the house. So I'll take that. After they are in the boiling water for 15 minutes, I'm going to turn the heat off, uncover the pot, and let them rest there for 5 minutes. Then I'll grab my my jar lifters and I'll put them back on either the board or on, you know, a towel on the counter. And I am gonna leave them just overnight to cool completely. In the morning, I will make sure that everything has sealed by pressing on the center of the lid. If there's no movement there, then you know your jars are sealed and ready for storage. I store my jars without the band, so in the morning I'll remove the band, wipe the jar. It just helps me monitor what's going on in the jar, that I don't have the band in there. I can see better into the jar, and also I can reuse the band. So I always store my jars without the bands, and that's it. I'll wipe the jar and I'll put it in the pantry. I got a little bit left here that I am going to enjoy right away. I don't know if you can see it. Oh my God, you guys, it's so good. It's seriously my favorite jam, and I hope you'll give it a try. I hope you'll make it. All you really need is a good toast and goat cheese and then fig jam on top. Oh, it's just amazing. It also goes really good with tahini sauce, but don't make the sauce, just leave it raw and put it on a piece of toast and then put fig jam on top of it. It's delicious, really good. My favorite jam right here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe learned something new. Please like it and share it if you watch it on social media. If you're here on YouTube, then please take a moment and subscribe and hit the bell notifications. And I will see you again in the next video. Bye.